Has this ever happened to you? Because it shouldn't have. Hitting enemies from behind while in Deceive procs the backstab interaction where your damage crits. As you can see, most of your damage comes from this ability, 800 to be exact, while normal basic attacks do only 300. With the backstab you have almost triple the damage. Therefore, hitting this ability is crucial, needed, and the only way you can actually take down your opponents before they can react and get away. And here's the bug and the problem. For example, enemies who are knocked up, their hitboxes glitch. We can clearly see how the Zac is at all times facing away from us. Because we missed the backstab crit, the Zac gets away. Another perfect example is this Akali. Watch as she uses her Q and then proceeds to walk in the opposite direction. Because of the animation, she appears as if facing away from me. This example showcases how animations don't match the actual hitboxes. And the worst part, there are many more situations where the enemy champion hitbox doesn't actually match the visual direction in which the enemy is facing. After doing more research in custom games, here's how I recreated.
Oh, hell no, man. What the?
At first, backstab works normally on Jhin, but after Nautilus uses his Q, both the Deceive crits and passive backstabs stop working completely. This happens because, like I mentioned earlier, knockups desync the enemy's hitbox from their visual direction. The champion might look like they're facing one way, but their hitbox doesn't. We can even see that Nautilus's ult turns Jhin around, but his Q doesn't always do so, leading to inconsistent results. And it gets even worse in real games. For example, here my Gragas E the enemy Ashkan, and when I tried to Q backstab insta-kill him during the CC, the backstab bugged, missing, doing 0 damage and getting me killed. To prove it, I recreated the exact same situation in Practice Tool. Backstabs work fine on Ashkan at first, but once I Q and Gragas uses E, my Deceive crit and backstab both fail while he's stunned, resulting in missed backstabs, missed kills and ultimately lost games. For the Shaco rework, I am 100% for the removal or complete rework of this inconsistent, unrewarding and even punishing mechanic. Welcome everyone, I'm the Clone, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly what's wrong with Shaco. And what can be done to fix him, because if we don't speak up, no one else will. I've been playing Shaco for over 10 years now. I know Shaco inside out, his strengths, weaknesses, his inconsistencies, frustrating bugs and design flaws that hold him back from being the champion he should be. Now be prepared for the most insane Shaco bug that both hurts Shaco, but at the same time it can be abused for the highest Shaco damage combo ever. Stay tuned, as this has likely never been shared anywhere on the internet before. While using your ultimate to dodge a skill shot, if the clone spawns inside that skill shot, the clone checks Shaco's stats and copies them a split second after spawning, healing back to full HP. Or the opposite, losing HP if Shaco is hit in the bugged time frame. This also explains the following secret OP bug I will share with you. While invisible, go behind an enemy and just as you're about to attack, use ultimate, spam attack move. This will result in both you and the clone spawning on top of them. The clone will also copy your Hail of Blades buff, resulting in both you and the clone literally nuking any enemy with insane attack speed. This is the most insane, highest damage Shaco combo bug abuse I have ever discovered so far. Fun fact, the clone boxes also do not take damage right after they spawn. I recreated all of these bugs in Practice Tool with friends. Shout out to Alex, Robert, Rick and Darius for all the help. I appreciate it, gang. Another very important mechanic I must talk about is the following. Shaco's backstab is determined at the exact millisecond you start your attack. What that means is, even if the enemy turns around afterward, you will still get the backstab because the direction is locked in when the attack is first cast. Here is where the issue comes in. When you're fighting someone 1v1, you'll often want to cast Q, blink behind them and boom, get that backstab crit with a bonus damage and the attack reset. Here's the problem, while you're still in front of the enemy, then instantly use Q to blink behind them, you will not get the backstab crit. This mechanic is so annoying because first you Q, then attack, not the other way around. Thus the backstab should hit, yet it still misses. A cool side effect of this bug is that the opposite is also true. If you Q away from an enemy while they are showing you their back, you can teleport, then Bluetooth basic attack, backstab crit them. And this also works through walls, which is interesting and a really cool OP looking mechanic, but I've yet to use it in an actual game. Also, the bug has nothing to do with the direction in which you are facing. As we can see here, I am successfully getting a backstab on a dummy while facing away from it. It looks like it should crit, but it does not. And this is a massive bug, as it really hurts Shaco's ability to consistently 1v1. This happened to me constantly while clearing the jungle, for instance. Queuing in for the bonus damage, just to fail. It is extremely frustrating, as you can probably tell. By the way guys, if you would like for more people to hear about Shaco's problems, help spread the word by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. This is also why crit is so popular on Shaco, because it removes the need to get lucky and backstab in order to crit. You can just attack enemies from any direction and get a bonus damage. That's actually a problem. In this example, we can see how the backstab crit is much higher compared to a normal one, namely 378 damage on a normal crit compared to the mighty 500 backstab crit. That is because backstab also has crit multipliers. In essence, not only Shaco is one of the lowest burst damage AD assassins, but his passive also reduces your damage when not hitting enemies from behind. Shaco's whole identity is the ability to be an anti-carry by always being there, an annoying pain in their back, stopping them from rotating, teamfighting and killing your teammates. Even if you don't get to one-shot the enemy AD carry, getting them low enough to force them out of a fight can give your team a massive advantage. Shaco's other big strength is in the form of being able to control the objectives and the fights around them. Especially with AP Shaco, you can place boxes and zone the enemy team from an important objective and or by forcing them in a bad position. With Shaco, you're more of a jack of all trades, master of none.
40 треков накопит полный магазин. Сейчас нас тут много, но я начинал один.
Also, for those of you passionate about the game and Shaco and want to climb the solo queue ladder and become a Shaco god, I am now offering coaching sessions where I will share all the Shaco secrets I know nobody knows about. The elo gains are guaranteed. If you're interested, join my Discord server using the link in the description and send a message with a coaching request in the Coach Me text channel. Moving on, let's now talk about Shaco's kit problem. His backstab. The idea is simple. You attack from behind and you do extra damage, right? Awesome. Except 1, it doesn't work half the time, and 2, it's an awful passive to have as a jungler because it removes your ability to properly kite jungle camps. I understand that Shaco has one of the fastest first jungle clears in game, but that's mostly because of his boxes. After the first clear, AD Shaco's clear speed is simply put unsatisfactory. With Shaco, you have to choose between either sticking onto the camp, struggling to get the backstabs consistently, or kite and literally lose a ton of bonus damage that you would otherwise get from the passive, except Zed can both kite and use the bonus damage to camps. Next we have Deceive, and Deceive has one main issue. Late game, literally most of your damage comes from hitting this ability, which is just terrible. Why? Here's a perfect example. Oh, the crit seems to not work. The crit didn't work again. That's kinda weird, right? For instance, while fighting the blue buff, as it's aligning its attack animation, if we Q behind it as it attacks, we miss the backstab, even though we were actually behind it visually. This is because when doing basic attacks, you attack facing the enemy, meaning that visually the blue buff's attack animation is out of sync with its hitbox. This is hilariously bad, as the opposite can also happen. In fact, I have a perfect example where I got a backstab on an enemy champion which was completely with their front at me. You can now see relying on one single clunky ability for most of your damage is a terrible idea. One missed backstab because of this bug on an enemy champion and you basically lost the fight and perhaps even the game. Furthermore, this is also a huge problem when clearing void grubs, as they are always facing you, making backstabs very hard unless you literally stick yourself inside of them and try to cheese, and even then, when the small voidlings spawn, they creep block you from being able to move and get a backstab. Low elo Shaco players never even get to consistently backstab the void grubs because of this. Again, you can likely see the problem, how unsatisfactory and punishing this gameplay feels, while all other meta junglers literally melt through jungle camps and their kits and clears feel very smooth to play with. Another example is Ocean Dragon. With its slow on attacks, it makes it very hard for you to be able to move around it to get the backstab. The gameplay literally feels painful, and I don't even want to mention visually it looks like I'm getting the backstabs from the front.
Nigga wanna see me fall. Stephen Curry, how I ball.
When an AD carry is kiting away, they turn around for literally a split second to attack. Predicting kiting can be quite random. Viego should be an easy kill. He knows I will try to backstab him. He turns around to deny me that. But I already predicted it and outplay by queuing behind him. Just for Riot to not give me the f***ing backstab regardless. Let's play a game.
I want to play a game.
Do you think this backstab will hit?
What about this backstab?
Whoever guesses correctly wins a Lamborghini.
Huh?
Over the years, many skins have gotten crazy with recoil animations, and this is really bad for Shaco, as of course, recoil animations do not match the actual hitbox direction of the champions. In a real game example, I am creating an angle on Caitlyn and I see I can backstab her. But a second I go for it, the backstab misses. I mean, imagine trying to hit a backstab on this recoil animation. And these issues aren't even happening every other game. No, they are a consistent every game occurrence, as Shaco's outdated kit is broken and out of sync with the modern state of League of Legends. Even the f***ing minions, just like with a teleporting blue buff, the hitbox and animations are not synced. After doing more research, I've realized something very important about how Shaco's Q used to work before his 2016 rework. Deceive used to give Shaco a buff in the form of a 100% guaranteed crit for his next attack. This was done by temporarily giving Shaco a 100% crit chance for the duration of his Q, as you can see in this clip from 2015. Today, Q no longer gives Shaco a 100% crit chance. Instead, it multiplies the damage of his next attack and displays it as a critical strike. Kind of like how Rengar's Q is displayed as a crit, even though it does not actually crit through crit chance. The same thing also applies to Shaco's E with its fake bonus critical damage. But here is where things get really interesting. While looking deeper, I discovered that the bug where Shaco misses bonus crit damage after using Q has actually existed since at least 2015. We know that before the rework, Shaco's Q guaranteed a crit no matter which direction he hit the enemy from. But remember the bug I talked about earlier, where the Q backstab bonus crit doesn't apply? It turns out that bug has existed even back in 2015. Let's look carefully at this example. After using Q, Shaco attacks Lee Sin. Even though we can clearly see a 100% crit chance on Shaco's stat bar, Lee Sin does not get hit by a critical strike. A few seconds later, Shaco's Q does actually crit and work properly on Lee Sin. The fact that this bug has been around for at least 10 years, maybe even since Shaco's original release, and I've literally never heard anyone ever talk about it. This Q crit mechanic is literally everything when it comes to Shaco's strength and kit. It's the only reason why Shaco can win the 1v1 against Zed. And against this Hakurim, the backstab misbug is the main reason why I could potentially lose the 1v1. Regardless, with hard evidence dating back all the way to 2015, it is clear that this is not a new problem. Two-Shiv poison. Shaco throws a dagger at an enemy dealing damage, slows a bit and does more damage if the enemy is lower than 30% HP. In other words, it's literally just a single-used ranged point-and-click basic attack.
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
This ability is actually very useful to keep as a last hit pseudo-execute when enemies try to get away. In fact, it's best used in combination with the enemy's flash, as this earns you extra fancy points. Let's try that again, okay? Oh, the E didn't work. Maybe I just tripped. Yep. This ability is great when it works, except plenty of times it actually doesn't work at all. Basically, if you lose vision while you cast Two-Shiv poison, it cancels itself. Except here we can clearly see we have vision through Ignite on Vi and the E still cancels. With Shaco, after you used Q to engage, if an enemy has an escape ability, you literally have no way to follow them, which is why E is so important as it helps you catch enemies that run away. The worst type of E cancellation is the one where it completely casts, goes on cooldown, but then just disappears midair, doing no damage. What's the point of having a failsafe ability to execute enemies when it's completely terrible at doing its job? Lastly, we have Shaco's ultimate ability, his clone. You can use it to 1v1 enemies better, one-shot faster with a crazy combo, do tricks, and even teleport through walls. Except there's a catch. I point my cursor so that when I ult, I spawn closer towards Viego to kill him. Except Riot does a whoopsie and I respawn in f***ing Narnia. The ultimate cannot spawn Shaco inside a unit. This happened because of the Grump, as it blocked my initial respawn location. It is unreliable and feels random in these scenarios. By the way, a cool Shaco feature is, not only does the clone now mimic Shaco's abilities, but it also uses mana while doing so, making it not so obvious which is the real Shaco for the enemy team. The clone, while it's gotten 10 times better over the years, it still has quite a few issues. Mainly, during fights it can stop attacking enemies randomly, which is very annoying as after you die, the clone can still attack enemies, which is very useful and can result in really cool interactions where your teammates can use the clone to help them win the fight. Except the knock-up freaking resets its brain, turning it into a useless standing minion. With the Shaco rework, his ultimate needs more tuning and Shaco needs to be given more control over this ability and how you can use it, as oftentimes it feels outside of player control. Now, how do we fix Shaco? I'm sure we can agree that the backstab is a horrible passive. While the idea of it is very interesting and sounds really cool, in practice the way it is implemented results in many inconsistencies that can easily lose you the game. Missing the backstab and doing 0 damage feels like complete shit. What to do then? Simple. Just remove it. or at the very least change it in such a way that Shaco's whole power does not rely on it and the passive itself is way more lenient. And I propose the following changes. For the passive, Backstab works on jungle camps and monsters from all angles. Remove the need to hit camps from the back to get the bonus backstab damage. This way Shaco would be able to finally kite camps properly. Not only would this increase the skill ceiling of the champ by adding a mechanic, but it would also put Shaco in line with other junglers. Furthermore, it would also remove the struggle of having to dance, glitching inside monsters, trying to get the damage in. Because with the backstab bonus damage, that's actually Shaco's normal damage against camps and monsters. Without it, you're actually slower than most other junglers when clearing the objectives. For Q, Deceive. Shaco's Q crits no matter what. Remove the requirement of having to be behind an enemy in order to get a crit. In fact, this would be a revert, as Shaco never had the requirement to get behind an enemy to get a crit before the 2016 rework. This would again remove RNG luck and also remove the chance of any bug interfering and resulting in you not getting the bonus damage. This would also be an insane quality of life change. For Shaco's E, we all know Shaco's useless against tanks or tanky carries. And in fact, Shaco's E can be, as shown, both unreliable and be quite underwhelming in many situations. His E does much more damage when hitting from behind, as it also procs the backstab damage. This way is facing away from the dagger, getting hit by 120 solid damage. In reality, the dagger does only around 90 damage without the backstab. Against knowledgeable enemies, they will just turn around and deny your dagger backstab proc. If Wei moved to face the E, he would have had enough HP to survive. And this is the truth about Shaco's E. It does not do enough damage to be reliable. Therefore, I would specialize it even more as a last hit tool, execute-like ability. I would make its damage scale with enemies missing health and or would give it an actual execute where any enemy below 10 to 5% HP would instantly get executed, similarly to how the collector item works. Not only would this make Shaco actually decent at helping his teammates hunt down and kill bigger tankier targets, but he would be less vulnerable because Shaco has 0 sustain, any weak tank or even supports actually 1v1ing you if you get caught off guard. Also, most importantly, this execute would also work against jungle monsters, making it easier for you to secure objectives coupled with smite. Conclusion: Shaco does not need a full rework. What he really needs is a proper visual update combined with a few targeted changes that respect his current kit and identity. Honestly, I see these as more of quality of life improvements than anything else. And let's be real, Riot could also take this opportunity to finally give Shaco more animations, which he desperately needs. For example, his E, Two-Shiv Poison, literally just uses his basic attack animation and the shiv just pounds me there. It looks janky, outdated, and does not match today's champion standards.
Stop right there, criminal scum! Nobody breaks the law on my watch! I'm confiscating your stolen...
On top of that, updating the clone and fixing core issues like the backstab bug would solve so many long-standing problems. No more missed kills. No more backstabs doing 0 damage because of a buggy interaction that many times is completely out of player control. All of this would bring Shaco closer to what modern League champion design should look like, without overcomplicating his kit. It keeps him true to his nature, removes inconsistency, and it fixes frustrating mechanics. It makes him smoother to play, more fluid, more fun, without making him broken or overpowered. Shaco can be much more. Let's make him the demon jester he deserves to be. If you agree, disagree, would like to give your opinion or let Riot know Shaco needs some much needed love, please do so in the comments, as I'm looking forward to discussing this with you guys. Don't forget to drop a like, sub, and as always until next time, stay safe.
Damn, baby, you got a bright future behind you.